David here with Figboot on pens. Today I have for you a pen from the company Benu. It's a company you might not be that familiar with. They sent me a couple of pens to check out, and I've been using them over the last few months. So what I'm going to do today is show you an interesting Benu pen and go over the parts and features. I'll talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and then provide a writing sample. And stay tuned because I will be giving this pen away courtesy of Benu pens, and I'll let you know how you can be entered into the drawing. Benu is a company based out of Russia. The name Benu, B-E-N-U, refers to the ancient Egyptian deity named Benu, but that's spelled B-E-N-N-U. And that deity is linked with the sun and creation and rebirth. This is what Benu looks like. In my correspondence with Kate from Benu, who's one of the founders, I was trying to get a better understanding of the fountain pen culture in Russia. And from what she said, the market for fountain pens in Russia is not extremely large, but it's quite sizable for ballpoints and roller balls. She also said that in general, the Russian market is very brand oriented with products from outside the country. She feels that in order to succeed in Russia, you need to first be recognized abroad. Now, Benu sent me 4 of their fountain pens. Actually, they sent me 3. Then I saw that they came out with a new model, and I asked that they send that one to me as well, and they were nice enough to do so. And I debated whether to do a video where I covered everything they sent, or if I would just review each of the pens individually over time. And I think that if I took the time to adequately go over each of the pens they sent in a single review, it'd make for a rather long video. So I'm going to take a look at these individually over the next few months. But I'll give you a bit of a sneak peek as to what they sent. First of all, there is a pen called the Classic Black Skull fountain pen. The distinctive feature of this pen is that it's covered with grinning skulls. Then we have the Stratos Essence, which is a shimmery blue with silver highlights on the end here. And then we have the Sublime Supreme, which has an interesting tapered design and some very nice pearlescent shine on this deep blue pen. So I'll look at each of these at a later date. But what I have for you today is a pen from their Briolette line called the Blue Frost. The pen arrives in some interesting packaging. They come in these small cardboard boxes with the Benu logo on the front in an Art Deco type font. And the top lifts off, and inside we have this. The pen is wrapped in paper with this little string, and it sits in the nest of shredded coarse paper. Something a little bit different. And also it's practical to protect the pen during shipping. If you want to, you can untie the pen or just pull it out. If you untie it, then inside is a little bit of use and care instructions inside here. And here we have the Blue Frost. It is not a subtle pen. This pen is made from acrylic. And its most distinctive feature are the large silver flakes of material which are inside this clear acrylic. There are a few dark blue highlights, and I believe these blue highlights will vary from pen to pen. The one I have here is a bit light on the highlights, but I've seen pictures of other versions of this pen which contained more blue. Other than the blue, this pen would be translucent if it wasn't for the flakes. The flakes aren't just on the surface, they're really layered throughout the material, so it really gives a deep three-dimensional feel to the pen. Let's start by taking a look at the finial. It's rounded, and you can start to get a look at the silver-colored pieces here. This is a clipless pen. It doesn't roll around on the table because on both the cap and the barrel that there is a diamond faceted design. The cap actually tapers up to the cap band, which is plastic. And on the band, it's engraved with the company name, Benu, and it's done twice, once on either side. As I mentioned, the barrel has the same diamonded faceted pattern as the cap. And it just tapers down. You could get a really good look here at the depth of the material. The barrel tapers down to an end which is rounded but slightly more pointed than the cap. The cap twists off to reveal a very nice Schmidt steel nib. The nib has some nice scroll work and then says Schmidt iridium point. Then there's a large B in the middle of the nib to indicate this is a broad nib. And here's a look at the plastic feed. I noticed that the underside of the feed is pebbled slightly, which is just a variance. Some feeds are pebbled and some are more smooth. Nothing that will affect performance, just an observation. The section is plastic and begins with a very slight flare. Then it angles up slightly until you reach the rather blocky threads, which aren't sharp at all. Even though this section is a bit on the thin side for me personally, I still find it to be comfortable enough for extended writing sessions. This pen is a bit on the short side, but it's long enough for me to hold comfortably, which is good because the cap is not designed to post. It just won't stick on there. This is a cartridge converter pen, which accepts standard international cartridges and converters. When purchasing the pen, you can add a converter to the order for an additional $5 if you already don't have one to spare. All of the internal parts are plastic, and I tested the barrel, and it doesn't appear there don't appear to be any leaks in here. So I'm thinking you could potentially eyedropper this pen if so desired. It might add another interesting dimension of color to the pen. I find the broad nib on the Blue Frost to be very pleasant. For a steel nib, it's very smooth. Now, some of that is probably due to the nature of this being a broad nib, but this pen is also available in fine and medium. And so potentially those nibs might perform slightly different, but I'm liking this broad a great deal. There is a lot to like about this pen. The nib performs very nicely, and it's an interesting shape and color, and it has some attention-grabbing material. Now, I've mentioned this in other videos, but there's a difference between a pen that is bad and a pen that is bad for me. Now, for me, this pen doesn't particularly match my personality. But I do think that there are a large number of folks out there that would really like this pen. On the Benu site, the Blue Frost retails for $65. And then they also give you the option to purchase additional nibs for $15. And that also for $15 they give you the option to purchase a pretty interesting pen stand. I believe it's acrylic and has a bunch of crystals jutting out. And I think it actually matches the pen really well. And I'll put a link below in the notes to the Benu site. In regard to the giveaway, if you would care to win this very pen, courtesy of Benu, all you have to do is do two things. First of all is just be a subscriber to my channel, and then just leave a comment below here on YouTube. Today is Saturday, November 25th, and you have until end of day on Tuesday the 28th to enter. At that time, I'll randomly select a name for those subscribers who have left comments. In regard to a comment topic, Benu is a fountain pen company which is a little lesser known than the top brands out on the market. Let me know if you have any pens from lesser known manufacturers that you really enjoy and that you feel should get more attention. The topic is not required, just a suggestion. So thanks go out to Benu for providing this pen for review and for giveaway. I really appreciate it. And coming up over the next several months, you'll see more in-depth reviews of some of the other pens that they sent me as well that I showed. So now it's time for some measurements, size comparisons, and then a writing sample. Okay, let's take a look at some size comparisons for the Benu Blue Frost. This is what it looks like compared to some of the other Benu pens that they sent. Here it is with the classic black skull. Then here it is with the Stratos Essence. And then here it is with the Sublime Supreme. So there's some nice colors in there. Then in regard to some other pens, here it is with a Quebeco Skyline Sport. Then here it is with a Lamy Safari. And here it is with a Visconti Homo Sapiens. So you can just see the size comparison there. Okay, so here we have the Benu, and this is the Blue Frost. This is a broad steel nib, and the ink that we're using today is Schaefer Script, and this is the Blue Black. This is what the ink looks like. That it's kind of a lighter blue black. It's not especially dark. It's very similar to something like the Waterman Permanent Blue Black. Another popular blue black that's come out lately is the Aurora Blue Black. Now, I laid it on rather heavily up here for some sheen. The true color is kind of more on the bottom side there. But you can see how it's a little bit darker than the Schaefer as well as the Waterman. They come in these bottles, which is a decent sized bottle as far as shape and design. So here we go with the rest of the writing sample. Almost ran out of room there. This, like I mentioned before, this is a broad nib. You're not going to get a ton of line variation out of here, but I do find this broad nib to be very pleasant. That it does lay down a very broad line. It is very much a Western broad. And in regard to some ink flow, it's fairly decent. In regard to reverse writing, it's a little sharp, but not too bad. And then in regard to some fast writing, there's no issues whatsoever. So here we have the Benu Blue Frost. It's an interesting pen. Like I said, I don't think it's subtle. It has a very distinct look to it, and I think that it would be attractive to a number of folks out there. And that with the material kind of being inlaid throughout the entire material, it does make for a very interesting look. So thanks again. Go out to Benu for sending this pen for review and for giveaway. Don't forget to leave a comment on YouTube if you would be cared to enter to end this or win this. So until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.